Hello my YouTube friends. Something a little bit different today. As you can notice, I got the back box on there, and in here, open her up, can of petrol. So what's going on? Well, a strange issue I have, and probably a lot of people can relate to this, is fuel anxiety, or range rather. So if we turn this on, it's not as bad as you think. Are we picking this up? The light is a bit... There we go. So I got 2 bars there at the minute, which doesn't bother me. It's when it gets down to 1 bar. So I'm never quite sure when to fill up. So I usually as soon as I see 1 bar, I'm starting to eye up any possible fuel stop. So today what I'm going to do, I'm going to run it down to 1 bar, and we're going to see how far we go on 1 bar till it totally runs out. I'll set the trip on here, see if we can get this right. There we go. I'll set it to 0 like that as soon as it gets to 1 bar. And is this interesting? Oh, hang on a sec. That was interesting. I did 54.4 miles to the gallon I'm averaging at the moment, and then we'll have just out of pure curiosity, and it'll sort of probably put my mind at rest. Say if I've got 1 bar, I know I've got 10, 15, 30, 50, I don't know how many more miles left. So but I'm going to keep off the main roads, you know, the big roads like the dual carriageways and motorways. Just stay where I, hopefully if it conks out, I can safely pull over. And it's going to be a bit more of a real world test than I anticipated, because my son's coming along with me. He's 50 kgs I think, so there's quite a bit of extra weight there, which I think is 7 point, I did look it up, I think it's 7.8 stone or something like that. So we'll have a bit of extra weight, but I'm just going to ride totally normally, and we'll see how far we get. So that's today's video. How far can I get on 1 bar of fuel? Right, this is the start of my frustrations. This GoPro's playing up. The audio's not coming through for some reason. So this is the point where I first reset the trip meter when I reached 1 bar of fuel. And I start measuring now how long it's going to take me. Right, I told myself I'm not going to go on the dual carriageway, but I thought I'd have a little blast just to drink up the juice a bit. And wasn't too bad, all nice, but shame we can't hear the bike. At this point I'd been riding quite a long time. I think I'd done about 20 miles, and I was just feeling a bit thirsty, so I'm about to pop into one of my favourite cafes. It's quite well known around here, Baffle House, so it's well recommended if you're in this neck of the woods in South Wales. Right folks, experiencing much frustration at the moment. My GoPro here is playing silly buggers at the minute. I keep losing my audio, and I don't know if something's coming slightly loose, if it's perhaps this cable here, a little bit of movement there, but I always sort of test it before I set off. So, you know, it just goes down like that. There's one join there and into the helmet there, and I've got my Bluetooth there as well, very handy with the old sat nav and comms talking to each other. But this is the issue, so I keep losing audio and I can't figure out why. It just becomes crackly and then suddenly sort of more or less, well, it's just inaudible basically. So I can't quite figure out why, but I'll tell you our current situation. I popped back home. This is the fuel situation. It's really annoying because I'm repeating myself. If I turn the ignition on, that has been flashing, and it was 0.0, then went to 0.1, then 0.2. So I haven't got a clue what's going on, but I did have a look at the manual, and basically we're on the reserve tank. And since I set the trip, let's have a look what we're on. We've done 17 miles more or less on that 1 bar of fuel, and I've been told that light will start flashing even quicker just before the imminent run out of fuel. So we're on about 20 miles, what did I say, 17 miles, wasn't it? 17 miles so far without running out of fuel. So I had to pop home. I don't want to give too much details, but I really needed a wee and some refreshment, so we'll carry on riding. So if I turn the ignition on, this is day 2 by the way, that's another story. We went down to 1 bar and eventually it started flashing, and then it started reading 0.0 there at the bottom, and it's gone down to 0.6. And I read the manual, and I think that indicates we're on the reserve tank, and in the reserve tank there's 2.1 litres, so I'm not sure if it's going to count down to 2.1 and then it will be completely empty. I don't know, it might just go to 9, I'm not sure, I'm just guessing. So if I ever look how much mileage we've done since, because I set the trip to 0, so we've done 34.3 miles since it arrived on the 1 bar, and that's what I've been really anxious about, is just to know how long it is before I need to fuel when it ends up on 1 bar. So I don't know if it'll show the miles per gallon. It usually does. Oh, there we go, we've been averaging 59 miles to the gallon, which isn't too bad, to be honest. So I'm going to continue riding and we'll see when we run out of fuel. And I'm not sure if I'm repeating myself, but I'm pretty sure that footage came out all right, because I explained my son was on the back, but that was only for the first half of the journey. I dropped him off at his grand's. But we're going to carry on and see how far we can go, and I'm going to keep everything crossed that I can use some of the helmet footage, because that's quite nice when you're riding, and you can see the surroundings and hear the sound of the bike, etc. So wish me luck, and I am absolutely screaming. I don't know if I'm going to do a complete reset up, I think, on the audio and everything on the mic, but something's not working quite right there. Okie dokie. Right, here goes. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. I'm really hoping you're picking up this audio. I'm a bit more concerned now, because I said perhaps there's 2.1 litres in the reserve tank, and I've noticed that actually says gallons after it, 0.6, so it might run out a little sooner than I'm thinking. But I'm just riding around in my local area here. I do remember as well, I've got an extra 5 kilos of weight on the back with fuel that I'm going to throw in when it does eventually run out. Hopefully it doesn't do it somewhere really embarrassing, like in front of these kids. Pulling out of a junction, that could be scary. Let's get past this traffic. So it's a beautiful Sunday afternoon in where I live, in my local town. They got all these average speed cameras everywhere now, so I got to watch my speed. Very easy to tickle over the speed limit on a motorbike. I have found if I'm doing a couple miles an hour over the speed limit, my sat nav and these other indicators, these automatic signs, seem to show the bike going slower than my speedo showing. I don't know if anyone else gets that. So for instance, if I'm doing 32, All the other gadgets are showing about 30. So I know I'm definitely safe if I'm doing bang on 30. I think my speedometer seems to exaggerate a little bit. I've noticed that on the motorway as well. A friend was following me. I was doing 70 and he was giving me the hurry up. So because he said I was doing about 68, oh well, maybe about 67 or 66 or something like that. So he's motoring away on his bike. Oh, it's probably one of them electric ones. Strange, it plays psychological tricks with you. When you know you got so little fuel, you're expecting a little splutter. I'm going to switch off and I'm going to pray that this audio's come out alright. And we'll join you when I run out of fuel again. Right, this is the height of frustration. I thought I'd do a really nice power pull, a 0 to 60, so you could hear the little inline 650 4-cylinder bike here, and long and behold the audio let me down again. So at this point I'm just cruising around, just getting rid of fuel. That's it really. Right, this is the point I finally ran out of fuel, and a bit difficult to describe it, but the bike was sort of a bit surging and sort of really sort of strong engine braking sort of feel, but it sort of kept going, and it worked out really nicely because well, it could have been more perfect. There's a lay-by right here where I pull in and refuel, and basically what was on the dash was that it had started at that 0.1 flashing. It went right down to 0.9 and then 1, and that's when I could sense the fuel was more or less empty. So it's sort of like a countdown to the point where you're going to be absolutely empty, I think. So it's a real shame because I'm explaining it all there. And what's most important is we did 55.7 miles, I think it was, before we ran on empty, and that's from the point where that first bar came. Right, so just the usual like and subscribes, and big apologies about the audio. It has really let me down this week, so I've had to do these voiceovers. But we'll see you on the next video, and hopefully things will run a lot smoother, because I was quite looking forward to doing this, and it's given me a lot of peace of mind to know exactly how far I can go, not really panicking as soon as I see 1 bar of fuel. So usually 55 or so miles, depending how you're riding, is plenty time between filling stations. So thanks again, and hit that subscribe button and share my videos, and a lot of likes. It's all really appreciated. Thank you. See you in the next video.